Alex Eala breaks into WTA top 60 after a historic title win in Guadalajara. The air was electric in Guadalajara. A faint orange glow touched the horizon, painting the Mexican sky in streaks of gold and crimson. The city streets were already alive. Mariachi music floated from cafe doors, and vendors shouted cheerfully as they sold fresh churros and coffee to morning commuters. But somewhere across town, inside the Players' Hotel, Alexander Alex, Eala stood quietly before her mirror, tying her hair back into a ponytail. Her reflection was calm, almost serene, but her eyes burned with that familiar, unrelenting fire. It was finals day. Her racket lay neatly beside her kit bag, strings freshly tuned, the same way she'd done for every match that week. But this morning felt different. This wasn't just another tournament. This was destiny calling. For years, she had been the Filipina dreamer, the underdog who dared to play among giants. Now, at just 20 years old, she stood on the verge of something monumental, her first WTA 500 title, and a spot among the world's top 60. Alex Eala took a deep breath, whispered a quiet prayer, and smiled. Let's make history today. From Manila to the world, long before Guadalajara, before the bright lights and global headlines, Alex Eala was just a kid with a racket too big for her hands and dreams too wild for her age. Born and raised in the heart of Manila, she was introduced to tennis by her family, a household that believed in discipline, humility, and hard work. Her mother, Riza Maniguila, had been an athlete herself. Her father, Michael, was her rock, the quiet force who drove her to early morning practices before school. At age 10, Alex already showed something special. Footwork sharp as lightning, eyes calm even under pressure, and a backhand that coaches whispered about as gifted. By 12, she moved to Spain to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, a decision that changed everything. Under the Mediterranean sun, she learned what it meant to suffer for greatness. Days that started at dawn and ended past midnight. Grueling drills that broke her body before rebuilding it stronger. She learned Spanish. She learned discipline. And she learned that champions aren't born, they're forged. When she won her first junior Grand Slam doubles title at the Australian Open, she wasn't just another rising star. She was a spark of something bigger. A symbol for the Philippines, a nation that had waited decades to see one of its own rise in global tennis. Guadalajara, the city of dreams. Guadalajara was known for its music, its culture, its soul. But that week in 2025, it was the sound of tennis balls echoing through the Pan American Tennis Center that drew the world's eyes. The field was stacked. World number 8 Maria Sakkari, number 11 Beatriz Haddad Maia, Czech powerhouse Linda Noskova, and of course, the young Filipina who had quietly been tearing through the draw. Eala wasn't seeded. She wasn't expected to make it past the second round. But match after match, she proved otherwise. First, she dismantled an informed Magdalena Frech in straight sets. Then came Ludmila Samsonova, the Russian big server ranked inside the top 25, a brutal three-set battle that tested her stamina and her soul. Then came the quarterfinals against Sakkari, a match that would become legend, the match that shocked the world. The crowd had come for Sakkari, the favorite, the Greek warrior known for her strength and fiery attitude. But by the end of the second set, the arena had switched allegiances. Eala's play was fluid, fearless, poetic. She returned serves that should have been unreturnable. She slid across the hard court like it was clay, absorbing pressure and turning defense into art. Down 4-5 in the third, serving to stay in the match, Eala unleashed a 108 miles per hour ace down the tee, her first of the day, followed by two stunning cross-court winners. Then, with a score 6-5, match point in her favor, she hit a looping forehand that landed inches inside the baseline. Sakkari froze. The crowd erupted, and Alex fell to her knees, hands covering her face. The Filipino flag waved proudly in the stands, held by a small group of overseas workers who had come just to watch her play. Some were crying, some were shouting, but all were chanting one name. Eala, Eala, Eala. The road to the final. By the time she reached the final, Alex had become the talk of the tournament. Commentators called her Asia's Silent Storm. Journalists wrote headlines like, "The girl who plays like poetry." But her opponent in the final, Elena Rybakina, former Wimbledon champion and one of the most powerful hitters on tour, would be her biggest test yet. On paper, it was a mismatch. Rybakina had experience, a monstrous serve, and multiple titles. Eala had grit, speed, and faith. Yet from the first point, it was clear this wasn't going to be an easy win for anyone. The final, one match to make history. The crowd was on fire. Filipino flags fluttered beside Mexican ones. Fans shouting "Vamos, Alex," with every rally. Eala started strong, aggressive but composed. Her backhand sliced through the air like a whisper, catching Rybakina off guard. The first set went 7-5 Eala after a breathtaking 22-shot rally that ended with a passing shot down the line. In the second set, Rybakina fought back, overpowering her with blistering serves and deep forehands. She took it 6-3. The decider was everything tennis was meant to be: heart, nerve, and willpower colliding. At 5-4, Eala serving for the championship. Her heart raced so hard she could hear it louder than the crowd. She took a deep breath. Serve, return, rally. Then a forehand winner. Match point. Rybakina attacked, sending a heavy ball down the middle. Eala sprinted, stretching for a desperate return. Somehow, the ball clipped the line. The crowd gasped. Rybakina missed the next shot wide. Game, set, match, Eala. The arena exploded. Alex dropped her racket, collapsed on court, and looked up at the sky, tears streaming down her face. The scoreboard read, Eala 7-5, 3-6, 6-4. And just like that, a new name was etched into history. The first words of champion. During the trophy ceremony, Alex stood on the podium, holding the golden cup with trembling hands. The Philippine flag draped around her shoulders. Legacy in motion. When Alex Eala broke into the WTA Top 60, she didn't just rewrite her own story. She rewrote the story of a nation that had long been overlooked in global tennis. Her victory became a beacon, proof that you don't need to be born into privilege to rise to greatness. You just need purpose, passion, and persistence. Coaches now tell their students, if Alex can do it, so can you. And young girls across the Philippines hold rackets a little tighter, dreams a little higher. Because somewhere, a Filipina champion showed them that the impossible can be done, with faith, fire, and the courage to keep swinging. Epilogue. Beyond the rankings. Weeks after her victory, Alex Eala was asked what her next goal was. She smiled thoughtfully. Top 50, maybe top 30. She said, but honestly, rankings fade. What lasts is what you give. She paused and added, if one kid back home decides to dream bigger because of me, that's the real title. And with that, she walked away, calm, humble, and radiant, the way only true champions do. Because Alexandra Eala's story was never just about climbing the rankings. It was about lifting a nation. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.